guys, Olive here. I am here today to do my very last TBR video for 2018, which is unbelievable, let me tell you, but let's talk about what I'm planning to read in December. First and foremost, I am still trying to chip away at my young professional TBR, and so this month I am hoping to read The End of Average by Todd Rose. This book discusses how a lot of our society is built around the average individual, but considering not one of us is average in every regard, a lot of our systems are built for no one. And he argues in this book that success lies in customizing things for individual needs. This is certainly a very intriguing concept. I am hoping that in this book he will discuss standardized testing, because coming from someone who tests very well, I always did very well in school, I see how horrifically unfair they are. But anyway, as I always do with nonfiction, I am hoping that I learn something from this one. Speaking of nonfiction, as you probably know by now, we are just now finishing up Nonfiction November, which is an event that I help to host, and it's also an event during which I read exclusively nonfiction for the entire month of November. That is not a requirement of the event, it's just something fun I like to do every year. And as much as I have loved giving my entire November to nonfiction, I am looking forward to picking up some fiction in December. It's becoming a little bit of a tradition for me to finish off my reading year every single year by reading a Sarah Waters novel, and this year I'll be reading The Little Stranger. From what I hear about this book, it seems to be a gothic tale about a spooky old house and the family who resides within it. Normally with books, both fiction and nonfiction, but specifically fiction, I like to have a very firm grasp of what the story is about before going into it. But I've noticed that with authors I really love, it's the opposite. I would rather go in almost completely blind. So I have looked up little to nothing about this book, which is very unusual for me, but considering how much I love Sarah Waters and all of her books, I know I'm going to love this one. During this time of year, I always find myself in the mood to read darker books, so I am also planning on picking up Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. This is a horror/fantasy YA book about three girls who live on a spooky island called Sawkill Rock, where young girls have been disappearing for decades. I don't pick up YA too often, but everything about this book caught my interest, and I am planning to buddy read this one with Britt. Another seasonal pick that I'm considering for December is called Russian Winter by Daphne Kolote. This is historical fiction all about a former Russian ballerina who is confronting her own memories of living in Stalinist Russia when she is auctioning off her jewelry in her older age. I am nearly always skeptical of historical fiction that has anything to do with Russia. I'm always afraid that I'm going to end up angry because of any historical inaccuracies. I just know too much about Russian history to be able to stomach inaccuracies. But this one does have really good ratings, so I guess we'll see. And on that same Russian note, I am continuing to struggle with just about every single piece of Russian literature that I make an attempt to pick up. And so in a desperate attempt to try to click with at least one piece of Russian literature this year, I am abandoning all the pieces of Russian literature that were on my classics TBR and going with the sure thing. The sure thing I am going with is The Overcoat and Other Tales of Good and Evil by Nikolai Gogol. The reason why this is a sure thing is I read The Overcoat when I was in college and really liked it, and there is also an entire story in here on Nevsky Prospect, which is the main thoroughfare in St. Petersburg, which is one of my very favorite places in the entire world. So if I don't like this, I give up. And then my last push of 2018 is going to be trying to get through some of the books off of my previous month's TBRs. During my October TBR, I called it my TBR graveyard. It's still going strong. I'm hoping to start 2019 with a clean slate, as I always do, but I don't want to completely give up on some of the books that I have put on previous month's TBRs. One that I know I'm going to be making a priority is Last Call by Daniel Okrent. This was on my Nonfiction November TBR, and it just kind of fell through the cracks during November, but I am certainly not ready to give up on this one. It's one that I really wanted to read in November, so I'm going to be working on this one. There are a few others that I'm going to be working on through December as well. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be focusing on, so I won't name them here. So there's only one thing left to do in this video, and that is to pick my random book off of my TBR. If you've never seen me do this before, what I do is go to Goodreads. I go to my to-read shelf, sort them by number, use a random number generator to pick 3 different numbers, find the books that correspond to those numbers, and then I pick one book of those three to read. So my three options are number 1, The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet by David Mitchell, Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier, and number 3, The Violinist's Thumb by Sam Kean. Although The Violinist's Thumb is one that I've been meaning to read for years now, I just recently read and reviewed a book on genetics for Nonfiction November, so it's probably not the best time to read this one. Instead, I'm going to pick The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet because I've been needing to finish a David Mitchell book for a really long time. So those are all of the books that I'm hoping to close the year with. I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. If you've read any of these books, if you want to read them after hearing me talk about them, you can put that or any other comments or questions you may have down in the comment section below. Or if you'd like to chat with me somewhere other than YouTube, I am on a variety of different places on social media. The links to all of my profiles are linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.